Attention passionate Toronto, Maple Leafs Fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the Atlantic Division and it could shake up the entire conference. We're talking about a direct impact on Toronto Maple Leafs' path to another Stanley Cup run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Toronto Maple Leafs fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Toronto, Maple Leafs Fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been following the Leafs closely, you know that the offseason is always a time of anticipation, speculation, and sometimes bold moves. And this year, especially after yet another playoff disappointment, the stakes are even higher. The Toronto Maple Leafs, as you all know, have been a team with immense talent, a roster filled with stars like Mitch Marner, John Tavares, Austin Matthews, and William Nylander. But even with that firepower, the ultimate goal, bringing home the Stanley Cup, has eluded them for decades. And that's why the rumors, the debates, and the discussions about what needs to change are heating up like never before. One of the most talked about topics lately is the potential departure of Mitch Marner, one of the team's brightest stars, and a player who has been a cornerstone of the franchise since he was drafted 5th overall in 2015. Marner's contract situation has been a hot topic in hockey circles for a while now, especially considering his pending free agency. But what's really catching fire recently is the idea that the Maple Leafs might consider a radical shift in their approach, and that could involve letting Marner walk and making a bold move for someone who's been gaining attention not just for his skill, but for his grit, his tenacity, and his ability to make a tangible difference on the ice. Sam Bennett. Sean Avery, a former NHL player turned analyst, has recently made waves with his outspoken opinions, especially about what the Leafs should do this offseason. And he's not holding back. Avery believes that the Maple Leafs need to make a statement, a true DNA change, to shake up their existing structure and finally push through that playoff barrier. And the key piece in his vision, Sam Bennett, the gritty, hard-nosed forward currently playing for the Florida Panthers. Avery suggests that Toronto should go all in, even if it means overpaying for Bennett, who has shown this season that he's more than just a physical presence. He's a goal scorer, a playmaker, and someone who can bring that winning mentality that the Leafs have desperately needed. Bennett, who is in the final year of his contract, has been a beast for the Panthers, especially in the playoffs. With 25 goals and 26 assists in the regular season, totaling 51 points in 76 games, he's been a key contributor for Florida. But it's in the postseason that Bennett truly shines. Entering Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final, he's already racked up 13 goals and 6 assists, totaling 19 points in 19 playoff games. That's a level of production and intensity that Toronto has been missing, particularly when it comes to adding that element of grit and physicality to their forward lines. And let's be honest, that's exactly what the Leafs have lacked for a long time, a player who can not only score but also set the tone physically and mentally. The thing is, Avery isn't alone in this thinking. NHL insiders have been buzzing about Bennett's future, and the consensus is that he's highly sought after. John Shannon, a well-respected NHL analyst, has stated that Bennett will only consider two teams, the Florida Panthers or the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's a telling statement because it indicates that Bennett, who's from just north of Toronto and was drafted 4th overall in 2014, has a strong connection to the area and the team. It's not just about money or market size. It's about fitting into the culture and making an impact. And for Toronto, acquiring Bennett could be a game changer, especially if it means moving on from Marner, whose contract and future in Toronto have been the subject of intense debate. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture here. The Maple Leafs, as you all know, have been stuck in this cycle of regular season success but playoff heartbreak. Since their last Stanley Cup victory in 1967, it's been decades of near misses, heartbreaking losses, and a lot of frustration among fans. The team's core has been together for nearly a decade, and despite flashes of brilliance, they've only managed to win 2 playoff series in that span. That's a sobering statistic, and it's the reason why the management, led by GM Brad Treliving, is under pressure to make bold decisions. Treliving himself has been very vocal about the need for a change, emphasizing that the DNA of the team needs an overhaul if they're serious about contending. He's been quoted saying that if the team keeps doing the same things, expecting different results, then they're just wasting time and resources. Idea of letting Marner go might sound radical, but it's rooted in the desire to bring in a player like Bennett, who embodies that gritty, relentless attitude that the current roster sometimes lacks. The concept is simple. If you want a different outcome, you have to change the characters involved. Bennett's style of play, his willingness to compete every shift, and his ability to score big goals in clutch moments make him a perfect candidate for a team looking to finally break through that playoff ceiling. But it's not just about Bennett's fit on the ice. It's also about the narrative, the message that sending a player like Marner away and bringing in a guy like Bennett would send to the team, to the fans, and to the league. It's a statement that the Leafs are willing to shake things up, to do what's necessary to win. And that kind of boldness, that willingness to take risks, could be exactly what they need to finally make a deep playoff run and hopefully hoist Lord Stanley's Cup once again. Of course, all of this hinges on Bennett's decision. As it stands, he's expected to have a massive payday this summer, and the question is whether he'll stay in Florida or move to Toronto. The Maple Leafs are prepared to make a significant offer, possibly a max-term deal to bring him aboard. And for Bennett, being from just north of Toronto, playing for his hometown team would be a dream come true. A chance to return home, wear the blue and white, and finally be part of a team that's aiming for greatness. But it's not just about Bennett. The offseason is also about what happens with other key players like John Tavares and Mitch Marner. Tavares, the veteran captain, has been a leader on and off the ice, but at 34, questions about his future are inevitable. Will he accept a lesser role? Will he be willing to stay with the team if they decide to go in a different direction? Marner's case is even more complex. The team's star winger has been a fan favorite, but with his pending free agency, there's speculation about whether Toronto will lock him up long-term or explore other options. Some argue that moving on from Marner might be necessary if the team believes that a younger, grittier, and more physical player like Bennett can fill that role better in the long run. And let's not forget the current roster's overall composition. The Leafs have built a talented team, but one that sometimes lacks the physicality and the mental toughness needed to succeed in the playoffs. That's why the focus on acquiring Bennett isn't just about adding a scorer. It's about adding a player who embodies that relentless, no-quit attitude that every champion needs. It's about changing the DNA of the team from one that relies heavily on finesse and skill to one that also includes grit, resilience, and a winning mindset. Looking ahead, the offseason promises to be one of the most pivotal in recent Maple Leafs history. Fans are anxiously waiting to see if management will pull the trigger on bold moves, whether that's trading a star, signing a difference-maker like Bennett, or reshaping the core to finally break that playoff curse. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of hope, and definitely some nerves. But one thing is clear, the Leafs are at a crossroads. They either stick to their current path, hoping that luck and talent will carry them further, or they make strategic, bold decisions to finally turn the page and chase that elusive Stanley Cup. In the end, what all of us want, as dedicated fans, is to see our team succeed, to see the passion and perseverance pay off. The potential acquisition of Sam Bennett could be the spark that ignites a new era for the Maple Leafs. It could be the move that finally breaks the cycle of heartbreak and ushers in a new chapter of success, one that fans have been dreaming about for generations. The offseason is just around the corner, and everything points to a period of significant change. Whether it's Bennett arriving in Toronto, Marner leaving, or other bold moves, it's going to be fascinating to watch how this story unfolds. The Maple Leafs have always been a team built on talent, passion, and history. Now it's time for them to write a new chapter, and fans like you and me will be right here, cheering every step of the way. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Toronto Maple Leafs news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. So what do you think about all of this? Do you believe the Leafs should pursue Bennett aggressively? Do you think letting Marner go is the right move? Or do you think they should stick with their current core and try to find other ways to improve? Personally, I believe that bold moves are necessary if Toronto really wants to contend for the Cup. This franchise has been so close so many times, and it's about time they make the decision to overhaul the roster if needed. The potential of Bennett, especially given his playoff performances, makes him an intriguing option, and the fact that he's from the Toronto area just adds that extra layer of motivation to see him in blue and white. The upcoming weeks will be crucial. We will see what the management decides, what trades are made, and which free agents are signed. But one thing is for sure, the Toronto Maple Leafs are not going to sit still. They're going to be aggressive, strategic, and above all, committed to finally ending this long-standing quest for the Stanley Cup. Fans are counting on that, and I know you're just as excited as I am to see what happens next. So stay tuned, keep your passion alive, and let's see how the Leafs story continues to unfold in this game-changing offseason. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll be back soon with even more updates, insights, and news about your favorite team. Until then, keep dreaming big, because the Maple Leafs are ready to make some serious noise. And now, Toronto Maple Leafs fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Toronto Maple Leafs news.